Okay, and now the next section. Fridge questions. How did you make the art that is Minecraft tip furniture functional fridges? Do you think people should stop comparing it to the Mona Lisa or 2001 Space Odyssey movie because those things do not reach the level of art that is that video? What's inside a functional fridge? Do you keep count of how many times people ask you about your gender or fridge? Are we getting a fridge video remaster? Do you know of any ways I could make a cool looking fridge? Fridge. What is the fridge joke that often gets brought up in your videos? Well, to answer the first question, sometimes, even when we don't intend to, we accidentally capture lightning in a bottle, and I feel like it's definitely one of those situations where I had all the right ingredients at the right time and bam, the next thing I know, it's become a classic masterpiece. Do I think people should stop comparing it to other works? Art is subjective, so I feel like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay for people to have their own opinions, even if they're objectively wrong. As long as we know what's right, it's okay. For the uninitiated, the fridge that I talk about sometimes in my videos and the fridge that gets brought up in the comments by other people is talking about this video right here. Minecraft tip furniture / functional fridges, made almost 10 years ago. If you sort this channel by oldest video first, this is the video that you'll come across because I used to be a Minecraft channel. For some reason, nearly 10 years ago, I thought it would be a good idea to make a video showing people how to make a fridge in Minecraft. And why people keep bringing this up is, well, if you watch the video, you'll probably understand because I sound pretty different compared to what I sound like right now. To the point that I gotta mute the video because I don't want to hear it. That's how bad it is. I've definitely answered this question before in the first Q&A, but it might be a good time to bring it up again because within the past few months, a viewer left a comment on this video and they said, "Hey, I added Portuguese subtitles to it, you're welcome." And I was like, oh, what the hell? That's... okay, well, thank you. And I tweeted about it. Little did I know that eventually, that tweet plus the initial comment on YouTube would spawn 29 different language subtitles for this video in the end. Wow. I don't even know the majority of these languages. Like, that's actually insane. People saw the tweet and they thought, hey, I'm gonna contribute subtitles in my language. And now we have 29 different language subtitles here. This is... you know, as funny as it is, it honestly is really touching. Oh my god, look at how laggy this video is. Granted, back then, in 2011, there wasn't 60 FPS, but still, holy crap. It kind of puts things into perspective, you know? It's like, whoa, a lot of people watch my videos over the internet, and it's people from all sorts of different cultures and languages too. It's pretty insane to think about. Very unfortunately, some of you might have seen me tweet out that this function here, other people adding subtitles to your videos, it's not really a thing anymore. YouTube shut it down, so this will stay at 29, but man, this has got to be by far the most international Minecraft fridge making tutorial on the planet. I'm pretty sure it is. It's gotta be. If this was a category for a world record in the Guinness books, I'm pretty damn confident I would get it. I mean, I better. Who's my competition? Let me take this time to also thank everybody who's watched this video and left a comment or even made subtitles to this because this is... well, it's a little joke between you and me now. If you didn't know this before, you're a part of the group now. Welcome. Questions about YouTube or the channel. Face reveal. To be honest, this is such a boring and tired question. You'll be the first to know if I change my mind on it, okay? How does it feel to be my favorite YouTuber? Flattering. Flattering, but also kind of weird, cause I'm the favorite something of somebody over the internet who I don't even know. It's a bit of a strange feeling, but very flattering nonetheless, thank you so much. Have you ever thought about doing premieres for your videos? I have, but I feel like it's not really the right thing to be doing for Let's Play videos. I don't know, maybe for part 1 of a really big game or something. I'm not particularly opposed to it, but I feel like the right opportunity hasn't really come up. Which series did you enjoy making the most? Do you plan on playing older games? Yeah, older games I have nothing against. I am completely okay with going into more of them if I'm given the opportunity. Which series did I enjoy making the most though? The way this question is worded is kinda, cause is the series I enjoyed making the most also the game I enjoyed playing the most? I would say no. Playing games on YouTube does add a filter to the entertainment factor and not always positive, not always negative, but not always positive either. In recent times, I would say Hades? Hades has been really fun to play and make videos for. Have you regretted starting a playthrough because the game turned out bad? That's the whole reason behind why I started doing stuff like first looks. So if you didn't know, whenever I start a game, I'll usually label it either part 1 or first look. Part 1 means I'll play the game to the end, and first look means I'll make one video first, and if I really like it, or if you guys really want to see it, then I'll play more. Because I started doing that, I feel like I can catch games that are not my cup of tea within the first video, so if I keep playing, it's usually because I like it. Are there any games you regret playing on the channel? Not from the game is bad point of view, I guess, but sometimes I gotta think about what people want to watch, and from that perspective, maybe spending time covering games that not as many people are interested in is not the best idea. In general, I wouldn't say so, because I really enjoy the vast majority of the games I play here. Are there any games you really like, but don't think they would work well as a Let's Play? From a personal preference on what I like talking about in when I play a video game perspective, I usually like discussing the story, right? So I feel like games that don't have much story, even if I like the game a lot, it's hard for me to commentate and Let's Play it. Because I always feel like I'm not saying anything of value if I'm just talking about the gameplay and the mechanics and stuff. Not so much these days anymore, but I used to play a lot of like first-person shooter games. I don't think I would be able to commentate those games well. Could we see some channel analytics? Sure. When your viewers are on YouTube, I think this is a new thing they added recently. So this is from my local time zone, which is PST, or Pacific Time. By the time this video is coming out, it should be Pacific Daylight Time, PDT. And people are usually on YouTube around when I upload, I guess. I usually upload at 9:30 and 12:30. So you can see here that apparently people are not on as often, or not many of you are on as often, on stuff like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, for some reason. Maybe you're all busy with work and school and stuff. And conversely, on Friday, when people should be out partying and whatever, you're all here. This is the demographic breakdown of people who watch this channel by age and gender of this year, 2020. So most of you are 18 to 34 years old. 17.4% are female, 82.7% are male. Not too surprising, I guess, because these people are basically you guys. This group here these two groups are basically my peers, right? And I don't really feel like my content is probably a little bit too long for younger people, so I don't think I appeal to teenagers and below that well. And then people older, I don't think people older would really be that interested in what I gotta say, to be honest. I mean, why anybody would want to listen to anything I have to say is already a mystery to me, to begin with. Your countries, where are you from? Top countries of this year, United States, United Kingdom. Makes sense because these are English-speaking countries. Germany. There's about as much people in Germany as in the UK. I think most people in Germany also know English, right? So not that surprising, I guess. But there's more people in Germany than Canada, where I'm living right now, which is... I don't know why. Russia, Brazil, Poland, Australia, France, Finland, Sweden, Philippines, Indonesia, Netherlands. I'm guessing some of these might be like, for example, if I play the Witcher series, that's a Polish game, right? So maybe there's a lot of Polish viewers from that. By device type, what device do you guys watch my videos on? Computer is number 1. Number 2 is mobile phone, and then tablet, game console, TV. Not surprising at all, I don't think, because a lot of my videos are really damn long, and I realize this, okay? They're like 40 minutes long, especially recently, the Hades videos have been like almost 2 hours long. I don't imagine anybody would be holding their phone for 2 hours. Computer being on top makes sense, although it's not really leading by that much. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now? Still on YouTube? Do you still see yourself making videos, let's say something like 30 years from now? Wow. 10 years, 30 years? These are really, really long times. Even 10 years from now, I'm not even sure if YouTube will still be around. I don't think that's anything that anybody could say with any certainty. In the moment, it feels like it'll be here forever, but there's really no guarantee, especially because that's probably what we thought about stuff like Zanga or MySpace too. I want to say no, just because I feel like 10 years is so damn long, not because I feel like, oh, 10 years from now, I'm probably going to be sick of video games or something. By nature, I'm a person who doesn't really like change, so if YouTube is still around, there might be a chance that I'm still doing it, but yeah, 10 years, 30 years though, probably not. I feel like by that time, my reflexes probably would have dulled a bit more, and then maybe I can only play point-and-click games. Have you ever thought about making content on Twitch or live streaming? And this is a question that's come up before too, but I feel like in general, live streaming, Twitch, this kind of format is a bit different from YouTube because it's more interaction-based. And the games I play here, they're more about paying attention to the story. With all due respect, when I play a game, I usually want to pay attention to the game. So I feel like especially story-driven stuff wouldn't really work well on Twitch. For me anyway, especially because I get distracted pretty easily. But for example, if there's a game that maybe doesn't require as much concentration, then maybe that would work. But even then, right now, with YouTube, I already spend most of my time here and I don't really have much time to really look into doing anything else. So at the moment, probably not. Do you withhold any thoughts or reactions in your videos? Ooh, this question is a bit of a landmine, huh? Because I definitely feel like there's some assumptions being made here. Assumptions about how, oh, content creators, you should be very honest and say everything you're thinking because that makes you an authentic and genuine person. I would say that an easy way to explain this is, whatever I say here, I try to make sure it's something I'm okay with saying to a stranger. Because we all behave differently, in front of friends, in front of family, in front of strangers, in front of your boss, in front of your coworkers. And here, I try to make sure that whatever I say is something that I would be okay with representing me to somebody who I've never met before. I probably don't always manage to do this. Sometimes things slip. And I also purposefully try not to be negative. Not because I'm like a beaming paragon of positivity, but just because I feel like that's not what you're here for. Because one thing that I've learned over the years is that people usually watch games that they like. If you're watching me play your favorite game, you probably wouldn't want me to bash on it. I definitely consciously try to word things carefully so that I'm not saying stuff like, this game is trash, because that doesn't mean anything to anybody. From every year since you joined YouTube, what was your favorite game of that year? Okay, hold on, I wrote this down somewhere. And the person that asked me said, doesn't have to be when the game came out, just when you played it. Let's start from 2015 then, because that was around when I really started taking Let's Playing, quote-unquote, more seriously. So 2015, great year to start off, Life is Strange or Undertale. I knew you said one favorite game, but 2016? I'm not sure. 2016 was kind of a sleeper year, right? I don't really remember anything big, but maybe the entire Uncharted series. Because 4 came out in April, and then right before that, I was playing 1, 2, and 3. Then 2017, it would have to be Prey or Horizon Zero Dawn. I keep giving multiple games here. I love both of these games, but between the two, I would have to give it to Prey. Just because I love immersive sims so much. Plus, Prey was on PC, and Horizon Zero Dawn, I could only play with a controller. You would think that kind of thing doesn't matter in my evaluation, but it does. Although now it's not true anymore because Horizon has a PC port, but back in 2017, that was true. 2018, the biggest things that came out that year were probably God of War or Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't know, I guess I would have to give it to God of War, but even then, both of them were great games. 2019, Outer Wilds, no question. 2020 isn't over yet, especially with big games to come out. But one game that I'm really surprised at how much I've been enjoying is Hades. I've already brought it up a few times in this Q&A already, but it's really not like anything that I usually cover on the channel, and I've been very, very pleasantly surprised by it. Okay. You said in your Valhalla gameplay that YouTube changed my relationship with games. Care to elaborate? And are you having fun playing games to upload on YouTube while having a bad day? At work, for example. How has the channel changed game experiences outside of your LPs? Do you even play games outside of LPs anymore? Do you play any games off camera? Do you still enjoy gaming? How long will you keep the channel? Yeah, this is something I mentioned a little bit when I was playing Valhalla. There was a Twitch streamer that was in that game, and then seeing them made me talk a little bit about my experience being a content creator, I guess. Am I having fun? Yes. Do I have fun playing games to upload on YouTube, even though I had a bad day at work? The simplest way I can put this is that it's fun, but it's still work. Kind of like if you have a favorite subject at school. You might think something like, yay, I have math homework today, not social studies homework. But at the end of the day, it's still homework. Especially if you do this on a schedule. And right now, I do pretty much upload every single day. So there's definitely gonna be days where it's like, I don't want to play games today, but I gotta make a video for tomorrow. So I do it anyway. Do I play games out of Let's Playing? No, I don't. Not unless if it's like a multiplayer game with my friends. But I would file that under social bonding, not playing games, so I would say no. 2 reasons. Number 1, I don't have time, and number 2, after doing a bunch of recording and editing for YouTube, simply put, the last thing I want to do is play more games. Also, I'm sure people who do Let's Plays can probably relate. When you play games off camera, you start getting this feeling that you're kind of wasting your time. Like, oh, why am I not recording this? This could be material. Especially when you're playing a lot of games blind and people want to see your reactions to seeing old classic moments or whatever, then it becomes kind of like, I can't play this game now even if I have time because I gotta save it up for when I record it eventually, if ever. But do I still enjoy gaming? Yeah. Before the channel, I would say I play games to de-stress, to relax, to have fun. These days, I would say that the fun factor is still there, but I don't play games if I want to relax. And I think probably some people have the misconception that between Let's Playing and not Let's Playing while playing a game, the only difference is whether you record it or not. But it's not true. This is a tad harder than it looks like. How long will I keep the channel? Well, I don't really plan on selling it or anything. Forever? Even if I stop making videos, I imagine I would let the channel sit here probably forever, unless if my grandchildren find it and make fun of me or something. Then I'll delete everything. Between the time when your channel was still relatively small, around 5k subs, and now where it's over 50, what were the biggest changes, if any, in the way you see the whole YouTube Let's Play thing, and in the way you work it on the regular? Did you feel any change in regards to your audience? For example, getting more weird actors by becoming bigger, having to deal with more spam, DMs, or stuff like that? Can't think of anything positive right now, but whatever changes there were, if any. Similarly, what were the changes in your relationship with devs and game studios? If you can detail the progression a bit, or when you felt it really changed. Did it change your approach to gaming and relationship to games in general? So I answered that last one. And then, comparing when I was smaller to now, how I see the whole Let's Playing thing. It's definitely more responsibility. There's a bigger sense that I gotta do a video according to the schedule, as opposed to before where I would be more like, hey, I'll just upload a video today because I feel like it. Also get the sense that I should be a bit more careful about how I say things. Not necessarily what I say, but maybe how I say it. Sometimes you get people that have this really weird tendency of thinking things I never said. If I say I love apples, somebody might come up to me and be like, oh my god, why do you hate oranges? What do you have against oranges? What about bananas? What about pineapples? And I'm kind of like, well, all I said was I like apples. I didn't say any of those other things. But some people don't read it that way. Yeah, changes in audience. You become less of a person. When you're smaller, people see you as a person, but when you get bigger, you become this content creation machine that is somehow less human. You get more people who are just willing to say all these really horrible things to you because they can. But also at the same time, this goes into a little bit of the parasocial relationship kind of thing. Some people, especially people who watch a lot of one creator's videos, I guess. So if you watch me a lot, you might feel like you know a lot about me. And it's easy to understand because if I release a 1-hour video every day and you watch 1 hour of me talking every day, then you might be very likely to feel like I'm your friend. But from my point of view, I don't really know anything about you. So sometimes you get people saying really, really rude stuff in jest. Yeah, they think they're roasting a friend, they're ribbing with a friend. But what I'm thinking when I read what this person wrote is, wow, this person is being a huge asshole right now. If you're interested in this topic, there are tons of people out there, of people more eloquent than me, saying so much about this subject already, so I'll leave it at that. What are my changes in my relationship with devs and game studios? Not much has really changed, to be honest, because I'm guessing this is in reference to stuff like getting review codes for games. I'm not sure how much people normally know about how this stuff works, but basically, how it normally happens is, okay, if a dev has made a game I want to play, and I want to cover it on my channel, I'll email them and be like, hey, would you like to send me a copy of your game so I can cover it on my channel? And depending on their internal criteria, whatever it is, they're not going to tell you. They'll say sure or no. And there's not really much to it beyond that. For the bigger game studios, like AAA stuff, usually you wouldn't be talking to them directly. You would be talking to either the publisher or the PR firm they hired. So it's actually quite a business-like interaction, which it is. Yeah, because they're giving me a game for free so that I can spread the word for them, so that more people will know about it, so that more people will buy it. There's really not much to it beyond that, so not even much in terms of progression. At some point in the future, are you gonna go full-time on YouTube or quit YouTube altogether? Or do whatever I'm doing right now for as long as possible. Oh, first of all, do you have a day job or is YouTube your full-time job? I do have a day job. I have a 9-to-5 office job, pretty standard. And I think I like what I'm doing right now. If we really want to have this conversation about whether I'm gonna go full-time in the future, taking into account how unstable YouTube is, I would probably at least have to be making twice of what I'm making at my day job to even consider this. So as long as that hasn't happened yet, this is not really a conversation we even need to have. Has anybody ever recognized you by your voice in real life? No. Usually when I record stuff, like right now, I'm probably a little bit more relaxed, but when I'm outside, I might speak a little bit higher so people might not recognize how I speak. Do the people you work with know you do YouTube? Some of my friends do, but not my coworkers. The majority of my coworkers are not that tech savvy. Hypothetically, if you would reach 1 million subs, would you still do this as a hobby or more like a job? Well, first of all, subs doesn't mean anything for money. But 1 million subs is a lot, so I assume that's gonna be like a lot of money. At that time, probably it wouldn't even make sense for me to not quit my day job to do this, right? Money-wise. But other factors, might have to think a little bit more. Your Let's Play style is very different to the popular format. How did this format come about? Was it a very deliberate decision, or did it arrive more organically? And to clarify what I mean about different to the popular style, is that you often play more story-focused, long-form content, where you take it slowly enough to explore everything, learn about the world, and provide insightful comments about the game. The popular format is more fast-paced, short clips of reactionary moments, more focus on the commentator than the game itself. I really appreciate your format, it's why you're my favorite Let's Player. Well, thank you for the nice words. I feel like this was the original format though. It might not be the most popular format these days because probably the primary demographic on YouTube is younger people, and younger people might have a shorter attention span and all that. But I do feel like at the beginning of Let's Plays, it's really just about a person clicking record and then going through the game without too much editing. I feel like I mentioned it in the last Q&A too, but me being a Minecraft channel before, now Minecraft was a sandbox game, but even within Minecraft, I never did like a sandbox playthrough. Every single Minecraft video I made, well, besides the fridge one, all of them were about custom maps that had story content. So when I was thinking of switching to something not Minecraft, I thought about that and I realized, oh, isn't the thing that I really enjoy about video games their stories? So maybe I should say that from now on, I'll be playing more story-driven games. And that's pretty much how it began. And from a commentating perspective, I enjoy thinking about and talking about story content more so than gameplay content or cracking jokes. Because I'm not really a comedian, nor am I really that good at playing, so talking about the story is all I have, pretty much. Is becoming too popular something that you worry about? YouTube is really fun, but some days I feel like an employee in the retail sector or a customer service rep trying to make sure that the customers coming in are happy and all that. And it's especially tough in terms of YouTube content creation because I feel like a lot of us, especially in the beginning when your audience was smaller, you really appreciate each person that comes in to watch your stuff, to leave comments about it. But then the bigger you grow, this probably applies for differences between 5K versus 50K too. The more you grow, the more voices there are. And at some point, there are so many voices that you can't really listen to anybody anymore. Basically, whenever I play games these days, if you have an opinion on whatever I'm doing, I guarantee that somebody else has the opposite opinion. In the beginning, when there's less voices, you can sort of cater to it so that everybody's happy. But at some point, you just have to tune it out and believe in what you believe in because there's no way you can make everyone happy. And I suspect stuff like that will be a bigger issue the bigger you are. I remember you started your channel to practice speaking. By comparing your old video and recent video, I assume it works. Do you have any tips and thoughts about it? If you compare my fridge video to this video, probably it's different. But I feel like there's only so much you can passively improve by talking. I still have a few habits that I don't really like, so it's definitely a work in progress. And if I want to break these habits, I probably have to actively put more work into it. If you were to recommend one LP series from your channel, what would it be? Ooh, this is hard because I think last time I asked, hey, how did you guys find me? And a lot of people said stuff like, oh, Undertale, or oh, Life is Strange. But both of these games, for example, are from 2015, which is 5 years ago now. And you know what? I really enjoyed my time with them, but I wouldn't say that those Let's Plays would be representative of my content now. both in terms of like quality and the kind of person I am, I guess, but just general quality things like better mic, better audio, better video, that sort of thing. So it's a bit hard for me to recommend those series. Something more recent that I feel like I think people enjoyed might be Outer Wilds. But even then, I took a few episodes for it to really get going. So in the beginning, I was kind of like, eh. But by the end there, if you've seen my Let's Play, then you know that that game did have a pretty big impact on me. Hypothetically, if your subscribers' views engagement didn't change, would you keep the name Matter Welonz or would you change it to something different? What would you change it to? If I knew, I probably wouldn't have named myself after a upside down, inside out watermelon, okay? Especially because it seems like the long name confuses a lot of you, and sometimes I get called Melon or Melons, even though it's Welonz. So, I don't know. Just Welonz seems like it's shorter and easier to remember, although it's kind of losing the whole watermelon aspect of it. Which games do you consider Weeblinzy and non-Weeblinzy? Since for Judgment, you introduce yourself as Weeblinz, but not for Valhalla, Tsushima, or Tokyo Dark. I guess it's exclusively for games made in Japan? It's not that deep. It's not that deep. It really just depended on how I felt that day. But in general, I guess, yeah. A weeb game, to me, would probably be a game made in Japan, over a game that's not made in Japan, but about Japan. Is Weeblinz making a comeback anytime soon? I don't know, can weeb games stop being so damn long? If there's a short one, that would make it a lot easier for me to consider. Sometimes it's really hard for me to start a new game right after finishing one. Is it ever exhausting for you to jump into a new game? If you were to find it exhausting, would you just force yourself to play for the sake of the channel or take a break? Yeah, that's the nature of having a YouTube Let's Play channel or Twitch streaming. You kind of have to ride the wave of when things happen, when new games get released and stuff. I'm probably playing more different games now than I ever have before. It is exhausting, especially when release dates line up and all that. But it's usually only for the very, very, very beginning. Once I start, it's not so bad. I would probably just force myself, unless if I'm feeling really, really bad. Another big difference from before I started the channel and now is that each game stays with me for less time. I might really enjoy a game when I'm playing it, but usually the moment I put it down, I uninstall it and it's gone. Whereas before, I might be more like, oh wow, that was a great game. And then I start looking up forums and discussion posts about the game and all that. These days, not so much anymore. Have you bought any cool stuff with your Patreon monies? Is rent cool? Rent's pretty cool. But really recently, I got a new graphics card, a 3080, and that was pretty much funded by people supporting me, which is really insane to think about. And usually Patreon gets the most spotlight, but I also want to mention that it's not just Patreon, it's also YouTube memberships and PayPal donations. Let me take this chance here to thank all of you too. It's really, really insane to think about, especially because the last time I made a Q&A, I'm pretty sure I didn't have a Patreon yet, and I made one because the Q&A asked if I was gonna make a Patreon. So we went from that to my new graphics card being funded by the people. That is insane. And that's kind of related to this question here too. Can we have an update on the progress of your Patreon? How much of it has been able to cover from your gaming expenses? In hindsight, was it a good idea to create one? How much has it been able to cover my gaming expenses? 100%. The fact that if I choose to buy a AAA game, which is $80 in Canada, and that can come out of people supporting me, that is already really insane to me, and I don't generally play more than one AAA game a month anyway. In hindsight, was it a good idea to create one? Interesting question, because normally I feel like people would probably think that, oh, I mean, you create a Patreon, you get more money, of course it's a good thing. And it is, monetarily, but especially in the beginning, I did feel some sense of pressure and responsibility, even more so than regularly uploading on YouTube. Because now people are monetarily supporting me, and I gotta step up to meet expectations. People who have been supporting me for a long time, they're all very, very nice people. I mean, of course, because they're giving me money. But no, in the sense that I can really feel that a lot of you are completely okay with whatever I do. Like a Patreon is supposed to be more like a monthly subscription, but the way that the majority of people use it for me is more like a tip jar. And I'm really, really thankful about that. Hi, notice you up your video resolutions up to 1440p, keeping up with progress? Yeah, so before I got my new graphics card, I had been upscaling, and now I'm actually publishing in 1440p. Hopefully, somebody out there is gonna be able to make use of it. The reason I was doing that before is because, in a nutshell, YouTube processes 1440p videos better. So they look better, even at 1080p, as opposed to a video that's uploaded at 1080p. But either way, we're actually at 1440p now, so that's great. Although that's going to be for PC only. If I want to upgrade to 1440p on console, or even 4K for the PS5 in the future, I would probably have to look into getting some new equipment. Where did you get the inspiration for your little chibi icon? Does she look like you? It's my Minecraft skin. I mentioned this last time too. Does she look like me? Not particularly, because it really just came from a random Minecraft skin that I stitched together eons ago. Right now, we both have brown hair, and that's pretty much it. Is fan art of the Welonz avatar okay? Or do you find that weird? It is completely okay. Not weird at all. You know, I really find it interesting that a lot of artists have been they're very considerate people. I've had multiple people asking me, oh, is it okay to make fan art for you? Oh, is it okay to tag you in fan art? And yeah, it's okay. If you want me to see it, it's definitely okay. Does your channel logo look like what you look like? Yeah, brown hair. Would you ever consider revisiting any of your older playthroughs? And if so, which game would you like to revisit? What does revisit mean? Like re-record for the channel? Or just replay on my own time? I'm gonna assume you're meaning re-record. Sleeping Dogs. It would be like my 4th or 5th time playing that game, but these days I can definitely make a much better playthrough of that game than whatever the hell I did back then. Are there any games that you've played for the channel that you would have preferred to play on your own time, due to spoilers, backseat gaming, etc., and vice versa? Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, playing games and uploading it on YouTube does add a layer to it. Not necessarily positive, not necessarily negative. I would say that the Witcher series was really a lot of work. Especially Witcher 3, which was 200 videos on my channel. I really enjoy the game, but it was a bit overwhelming. Not only in terms of how long it took and how much work it was, but in terms of how do I say this diplomatically? For a game about making different choices and living with the consequences, a lot of people were very opinionated about what the quote-unquote right option is. We'll put it like that. I mean, that's also probably a game popularity kind of thing. I didn't regret it. In fact, I'm pretty proud of it because I feel like not every single content creator out there can say that, hey, I finished a 200 episode series. But it was a lot of work. Games that I played on my own that I would have preferred to play on the channel. Probably any games that really can't be played non-blind that I've played already. So stuff like To the Moon 1, the original To the Moon. I want to play it again for the channel, especially because I've played the second one and the third one is coming out. But I definitely feel like it's one of those games that don't make sense to play unless if it's blind. Assuming monetization isn't an issue, would you rather have an uncommonly lovely singing voice or be a very talented artist? I'm assuming you're talking about monetization because you're talking about making a YouTube channel. So would I rather be a YouTube singer or a YouTube artist? YouTube singer, I guess, because a 5-minute YouTube singing video is probably a little bit less effort than a 5-minute speed painting video, which was probably 50 hours in real time. Okay, equipment and editing for the channel. Can we have a picture of your current setup? Here you go. And then there's a lot of questions about stuff that I use. My microphone, my headphone, my PC, which I did build myself, my programs and stuff that I use, so it's probably going to be all on the screen right now. I'm being asked about my headphones here, but when I record, a lot of times these days actually, I just use my earphones because I find it easier to be able to hear myself. But I do want to say that I think people are probably asking me these questions because they want to make YouTube videos too, and they want to see what equipment I'm using because they like what I'm doing and they want to copy it too. To that, I would definitely say that you don't need to have what I have to make YouTube videos. Everything I have in this list was amassed over a period of time. It's not like one day I went out and spent $1 billion. Especially if you're not sure. If you're thinking, oh, maybe I want to try out this hobby. Don't go out and buy a $500 microphone because of that. Times are a little bit different now and people have higher quality standards, but back when I first started, I used a $25 Logitech headset. And that lasted me until I got my Blue Yeti, which came from the money that I got from YouTube. But just do your research, okay? Same thing goes for the computer too. If you're gonna record indie games, probably don't need a top-of-the-line PC to be able to do that. Can you elaborate on your video editing process? You often say, I notice in editing, that Do you rewatch throughout your videos? Doesn't it take a lot of time and effort that can be used elsewhere, like playing more games or just having more free time for yourself? Is it really that necessary? I find that there's probably two main types of content creators. People who watch none of what they do and they just throw their stuff up, or people that go through everything they do. Of these two types, I'm definitely the latter type, because I do enjoy the process of polishing things up a bit more before it goes out to the world. Simple things like adjusting the audio, making sure that the game is loud enough, but also not drowning my voice. Cutting out my coughing and sneezing and my mumbling and stuttering, which happens a lot, by the way. If you've seen sometimes when I mess up the editing, you can actually tell that I have a bit of a stutter. And then stuff like cutting out loading times, cutting out travel times, cutting out boring repeated stuff. I enjoy that stuff. Will I get more free time by not doing it? Sure, but to me, it is necessary. Also, you say that I can spend more time playing more games, but sometimes because there's a loop of playing games and then editing and then uploading, that's why it's okay. That's why I don't feel too tired. That's why I don't get too bored. Which goes to, how much time do you spend on making a video? Do you do the recording, editing in a roll, or do you record a bunch and then edit them another time? Depends. Like some days when I'm feeling really good, maybe I usually play anywhere from 30 minutes to 2.5 hours. Any more than that, I find that the quality of the commentary really drops. I know this because I've tried. I've tried playing a game for like 4 hours before, and by the end, I'm not even saying anything adding any value anymore, and that's really something I want to avoid. If I play for 30 minutes, it's definitely more of a, oh my god, I gotta have a video for tomorrow, but I'm really tired today, so I'll just play a little bit so I have enough for one video. That kind of day. If we're talking about pure efficiency though, it's probably best to record a lot and then edit it all at once. But again, sometimes I find that process kind of monotonous, doing the same thing over and over. How much time do I spend making one video though? Since I do rewatch what I do, if my video is 30 minutes, then I spend at least 30 minutes playing, and then probably another 30 minutes editing. Simple as that. Maybe a little bit less, but probably around that time. Is there a possibility of one day you making a behind-the-scenes video? Like showing the processes of the making and how you edit them to make it seem like you're playing non-stop until the end of a Let's Play. I love that, by the way. Thank you! I love that you love that, because I love doing it too. I just find it kind of useless to be like, hey everybody, it's Welonz, and welcome back to whatever game. This is part whatever. Last time we did this. Next time we're gonna do this. But will I ever make a video about this? I'm not opposed to it. Sounds like a lot of work though. Are people really even interested in this? Maybe. Work-life balance questions. How did the pandemic affect your work schedule and making videos? Well, I'm working from home now. I've been working from home since about late March, I would say. Because of that, I haven't really left the house much, which means I get more time in terms of not having to commute. But those time savings haven't really been converting that well to productivity. Probably because there's a pandemic going on and all that, but it's okay. Earlier in the summer, back when I was playing The Last of Us 2 or so, I definitely felt very not good. There were quite a few days where I was like, I don't want to play video games, I just want to sit here and do nothing. So I didn't really become as productive as I thought I would, but I'm also hanging in there, and that was back in the summer, so now I'm okay. Okay-ish. How has doing YouTube affected your time management and or mental health? Do you often get burnt out when making content? Sometimes, but even at my most unproductive, I find that making one video is fine. YouTube has probably made me a better time manager though, because if I'm not, then I can't get things done. Alongside my 9 to 5 and everything else, so I have to be good at managing my time. Mental health? Like I mentioned earlier with the retail stuff, it's definitely a bit of a struggle sometimes, but most days I feel okay. I'm not spiraling into depression because I'm making videos. So, yeah. How do you fit times for video games, making YouTube videos, and having a job? What motivates you to make YouTube videos for almost every day? Do you sometimes feel exhausted doing it? How do you manage to be so productive and post 2 videos a day so consistently? Oh, lately I haven't been doing that as much. Are you able to take time for self-care? These 3 questions, I'm honing in on the word motivate here, because I feel like it's a bit of a myth. Even when you don't want to go to school, you don't want to do homework, you don't want to go to work, we usually still do it, right? Why? We're not motivated to. but we do it because it's just the thing we gotta do, right? It's just worked into my daily routine. If you want something enough, you'll make time for it. Although I don't know if I should say this part, sometimes it does come at the cost of stuff like sleep, which is not good, and I'm trying to not do it as much, especially if I think about how, if I don't sleep enough, then I'm not going to be able to commentate and play properly. Thinking about it like that helps, because now I gotta get enough sleep if I want to be able to produce higher quality stuff. How many hours do you spend playing video games every day? I mentioned it earlier. Anywhere from 0 minutes to 2.5 hours usually. Do you get sick? How do you maintain your voice? Yeah, I do get sick. And sometimes there's been a few videos where you can hear that my voice is nasally because I haven't gotten better yet. But it doesn't happen too often, I guess. Usually I get sick maybe once or twice a year. Hasn't happened this year because of staying at home and all that. How do you manage to upload, do your job, edit, and still be healthy mentally? Haha, you've made an assumption there. Haha, I'm kidding, okay? I'm kidding. Has gaming ever been unhealthy for you? Even at the height of my video gaming, around late high school and early university, I would say, 18 or 19, that's probably when I played games the most, and it would be like 50 hours every 2 weeks, according to Steam, which is about 3.5 hours every day, which is still kind of unhealthy when you put it like that, but that's probably nothing compared to a lot of other people. Definitely had days where I stayed up too late trying to play video games and then had to go to school early the next day, but overall, it never got to a point of being a problematic addiction for me, I guess. My grades were okay. And these days, I play games even less. How much time do you spend working on your channel? Probably like 85% of my free time, I would say. 85 if not 90, especially since a lot of us are stuck at home now. If I'm right, you play games a couple of hours a day on weekdays and more during the weekends. How many hours are your longer play sessions on average? 2.5 hours is pretty much my limit. If I'm just playing games without commentating, I can play for a lot longer, but not when I'm commentating. So whenever I see stuff like, Twitch streamer is gonna stream for 24 hours consecutively, I'm like, whoa, like how can you even stay concentrated for that long? Maybe I just have low stamina and I gotta do more exercises or something. And that is it for this section.